All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, some people weren't too terribly happy about my most recent video, because I basically titled it like SOD, a PvP guide, and there's a lot of useful information in there, to be honest. But mostly it was like a prediction of the future type deal, and people wanted, or at least one person wanted, a guide for Season of Discovery PvP for Paladin, like at level 25. Which in my brain is causing me to like roll my eyes in the back of my head because as far as I'm concerned, basically a semi-mentally challenged monkey could figure out how to PvP in Season of Discovery at level 25. You just don't have enough abilities, and if you're trying to like heal yourself with bubble, you're doing it wrong. So if you guys don't know, at the highest level of Paladin play, we almost never use our bubbles defensively. What I mean by that is you're never like let me bubble myself and heal. Like that doesn't really happen. Almost without exception, you're using bubble offensively because 9 times out of 10, it's just as good as a heal, if that makes any sense. So it's like rather than taking that 700 burst damage, you just bubble, and yeah. Um, Not 700 burst damage, like a level 25. Rather than taking the lava burst and the earth shock behind it, which is going to be like 700 magic damage, you just bubble and basically go from there. So in Season of Discovery, rule number one is you should be using your bubble offensively, and you should be using it in such a manner where basically you're catching people with Avenger Shield, and then you're rotating on them. You're getting all your abilities on cooldown, right? You're doing like an actual rotation. But then your next best course of action, 9 times out of 10, is just a bubble. It's not even to like wait for the enemy to have like CC a lot of the time. It's literally just a bubble. So, for example, a lot of people are really struggling with hunters. You can't see right now, but I'm rolling my eyes so hard I think my brain is going to explode. You stun the damn pet. You run at the hunter. You catch them with Avenger's Shield. This is assuming like dueling environment. You can actually pin them up against a wall, or you have like some kind of movement speed enhanced, like a black back fathom spoon. So they're not like basically off into Narnia, and you can't possibly catch them in a million years. Stun the pet, catch them with Avenger's Shield. When you finally get on top of them, they'll force you to freedom at some point. You'll get on top of them, get everything on cooldown, get Crusader Strike on cooldown, get Divine Storm on cooldown, put like 2 auto attacks into them. Basically, just give them the business until the pet shows up. Once the pet shows up at your back and starts, that's where all the real damage is going to come from. It's going to come from the pet, right? So now is the perfect time for you to use your bubble offensively. And how you do that is you just bubble and you just run with the hunter. Okay? You don't heal yourself. You don't do anything else. You just bubble and you run with the damn hunter. You can cast spells while you're in the bubble. So, for example, if you're dealing with rogue, like Savix was complaining about, you can very easily keep them in combat just by judging on them or doing whatever kind of spell cast you want on them, basically. But you can't heal, and because you're running at, because you're keeping pace with them, and you can't do melee attacks. But this really doesn't matter because all your abilities are coming off a cooldown. So you're waiting for your Crusader Strike to come off a cooldown. You're waiting for your Divine Storm to come off a cooldown. This guy's got this, but I'll try taking one. Maybe I can actually show you how to fight a hunter here real fast. Yeah, he's got this. Okay, cool. What was I talking about? Yeah, so then you just run with the hunter with bubble. Let's see if we can actually get this guy to fight us. You run with the hunter with bubble. I'm actually worried about this hunter. He should be showing up any second now and blapping me with an ability. That's weird. I don't know why he's not here. Strange. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so then so you run up to them, auto attack them, Crusader Strike them, do a Divine Storm, wait for another auto attack, and now is basically the perfect time to bubble if you want to. But you can stick on them a little while longer until the pet shows back up. Then you run with them while bubble is active. This gives plenty of time for Divine Storm to come off a cooldown, Crusader Strike to come off a cooldown. Your auto attack is coming off a cooldown in the bubble, even though you can't auto attack inside the bubble. It's coming off a cooldown in the bubble, which is an important thing to note. So once bubble comes out, you just basically do another full rotation on them. All over again. There's also a really good chance your freedom's back up, and when your freedom is expended, you'll have Avenger Shield again. I mean, what are we even talking about here? Is this even a matchup? Like question mark. Moral of the story is learn to use your damn bubble offensively. If you're an experienced Paladin player, this should have been something you learned a million years ago. It'd be like 90% of the time when you use bubble as a Paladin, it is used offensively. It's very, very rare indeed that we're bubbling and then just primarily using it to heal the full. Super rare that's actually a thing. The reason for this is because Reckoning Paladins are using it offensively. Brett Paladins are using it offensively. Just use it offensively. Like, what the hell are we even talking about here? Okay. So that's likely issue number one, is you're not using your bubble anywhere near as offensively as you should. Possibly number two, if you're struggling in SOD PvP, is you're gearing incorrectly. You're not following the correct gear protocol for Paladin PvP. So I've said this a million times, but I say a lot of things, so I might not have said it enough recently. How you want to gear for PvP is... I want this. How you gear for PvP as a Paladin is you get your stamina up really high. Your primary focus is always on having a really thick stamina bar. And this is your first goal. So people would ask me, like, I want to play Era for the first time. Like, can you give me like a PvP advice? And I'd be like, go get full tier 1. You can pick it up in a Molten Core GDKP for like 50 gold. Tier 1 sucks from an offensive standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint, she actually has a crap ton of stamina. So you can get easily like 5,000, 5,200 HP just in tier 1 suit alone. And since that is by far the most important stat for you to learn off of, that is basically your first protocol, is to get your stamina up super, super high. Why is this the way to go? Because when your stamina is super high, you're going to learn beyond any shadow of a doubt what you can and cannot do as a Paladin theoretically, right? You're going to learn all the right lessons basically. So you'll be like, oh, I don't have to. I'll give you two examples, right? So my HP bar right now, unbuffed, is almost 1650. Actually, one sec. We need to, like, control. I'm not actually in the proper gear here. Come here. Okay, yeah, two-hander. Yeah, so it's about 1600 to, like, 1650, right? It's obvious to anybody that I am a very durability-focused Paladin. Because if I was offensively focused, my health bar might say, like, 1,100, 1,200. Maybe something like that, and I would have a non-existent mana bar. My mana bar would be something incredibly pathetic, like 1,000 mana maybe, whereas I have, like, 1,322 mana. 1,322 mana is a bit of a break point. It's enough mana for you to sustain about 30 seconds of combat, so including like a couple of freedom usages, a bubble, like 2 heals, 2 Avenger shields, 6 Crusader strikes, and like 3 Divine Storms plus multiple judgments. You add all that up together, like 30 seconds of really decent sustained combat. You're looking at needing about 1,300 to 1,350 mana bar. Very easy to identify that as a possible breakpoint, and of course I'm sitting at that breakpoint as a good Paladin would. But you want to get your stamina up, because how do I put this? So if I have a lot of stamina, I'm going to learn what I can and cannot do, whether I can make it to another freedom, whether I can't make it to another freedom, whether I can make it to another bubble, whether I can't make it to another bubble, how long I can chase people for, how long I can DPS on people, how long I can run after people before I need to stop and heal myself. I can learn all of the correct things, whereas if I only had 1,000 HP, I'm going to learn basically all the wrong lessons. I'm going to have all the right, I'm going to learn all the correct DPS lessons, but I'm going to learn the wrong durability lessons, which is going to translate into you thinking the matchup needs to be played one way, when in reality it could be played completely differently. You're just looking at it from a perspective of having 60% less HP than I do, right? Like something stupid like that. Not to mention to have less mana to work with, and all the other factors. The other thing you'll learn with no uncertainty, if you start from a stamina heavy perspective, is you will learn in no uncertain terms how much DPS you actually need to get the job done. And it's at that point you can figure you're learning everything properly. you're learning the right rotations on your abilities. You're learning the right lines of play, like what's possible, because you actually have the HP to explore even what's possible. And then you, in no uncertain terms, you're looking at not you're likely looking at not having enough DPS, but it's also telling you in no uncertain terms just how much DPS you actually need. So you're like, okay, I have 1600 HP. I need maybe 10% more DPS to be a monster. I feel like I have too much HP. I could sacrifice 100 HP to go up a little bit more DPS and see if that's the way to go. However, if you start with the low stamina and high DPS build, which a lot of people are trying to do in Season of Discovery, what's going to happen is life is going to look a hell of a lot different for you at 1200 HP as opposed to like 1700 HP, as far as what you can and cannot do with your abilities. You're going to have all the DPS that you could possibly want, but dear God, are you not going to have any HP, which means that Elemental Shaman or that Rogue or that whatever is going to open up on you, take away out like 70% of your life, and you're just going to be sitting there sweating bullets, hoping to God you can actually do something. You can actually kill this guy within like 2 rotations of your abilities. Meanwhile, if you had more HP, you're like, not only, if you had more HP, you could survive an entire another burst like that, before you even have to think about healing yourself, which means you get to put like a 3rd or a 4th rotation of your abilities into the target before you're actually going to be put into the dirt. And again, you're learning all the right things of what you can and cannot do as a paladin along the way. So that is actually the correct way to do it. Otherwise, you'll just learn all the wrong lessons. You will literally just learn all the wrong lessons. Yeah, so it is what it is. I need to find a bit of a safe spot in this cave for the server going down. So yeah, so if you're struggling in Season of Discovery, number one, make sure you're using Bubble offensively, especially if you got like that super low mana pool. Like let's say I was like 1000 HP Paladin and I had, what am I thinking about here? If I was like a 1000 HP Paladin, but I had something stupid like 60 DPS, which I think is white DPS, which I think is what they come with. I wouldn't even wait to identify what in the flying F the situation is. My battle plan against like a hunter, for example, would be stun the pet, close on the hunter, catch them with Avenger's Shield, get on top of them, do 2 auto attacks, do a full rotation, get everything on cooldown, and just bubble. I don't care what the world looks like. I don't care if he CC'd me. I don't care anything that's happening. I don't care if I still have 500 HP left and I could easily put in some extra auto attacks. Just bubble. After the bubble, I'm just going to sit on him for the full 8 seconds. And then when bubble fades, out comes the Hodge stun into Crusader Strike, auto attack, Divine Storm, and that's just when you try to delete them out of existence. Because you just don't have the HP to basically play it any other way. With the high HP that I have plenty of time to wait for the Hunter Pet to show back up, and only then do I consider bubbling. I have plenty of time to wait for the to sit on the enemy and do damage to them. And wait for a fear or some CC or a stun, so I can negate the stun with the bubble. This is one of the advantages of having a deeper HP pool. I don't need to immediately bubble for no good reason, and then Hodge stun after the bubble, and just hope I have enough damage to get the job done. I can sit on them and actually examine the environment a hell of a lot better. What else is there to talk about? Fighting spellcasters obviously looks completely different. Fighting rogues looks completely different than the things that I've just described in Season of Discovery. So, for example, fighting many spellcasters, it really depends on the spellcaster that you're going up against, but not having enough HP, not hitting certain HP breakpoints is a really, really bad idea. Let's go back to the whole Elemental Shaman thing. So the Elemental Shaman can hit you for 7,000 damage every 6 seconds. No, 7,000. 700 damage every 6 seconds. Okay, cool. How many 6 seconds of those does Senor Elemental Shaman need to kill you? If the answer is 2, life might be suck for you. If the answer is 3, that's a hell of a lot better than 2. That's like a 50% increase into your HP. So let's say you're running around as a paladin and you're like, okay, well, I've got like, 1,200 hit points and like 900 mana. Maybe I can bubble cancel like the second. I'll bubble cancel the second lava burst, right? So if I yeah, so basically the two earth shocks are going to do like 300 damage. The lava burst is going to do like 400 damage to you. But you can bubble cancel one of the shocks and the lava burst because they'll be casting lava burst, spamming the shock. The moment the lava burst completes, the shock will hit you. If you bubbled right before that, which is a proper offensive bubble, and then you immediately cancel it. The next thing you know, you've saved yourself something stupid like 5,500 HP. In damage. That alone, plus the 1,200 damage, will likely take an entire additional rotation, if that makes sense. Let's go find a damn calculator so I can actually show you guys what the hell we're talking about here. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. Okay, let's go here. All right, so let's say for some reason I'm that 1,200 HP paladin. Okay, cool. So the first, 6 seconds of combat, I lose like 700 HP. The second 6 seconds comes down, there's that lava burst. I bubble cancel it, so I'm still at 550 HP. We can minus that by 150 because I'll eat one of the shocks. I have 350 hit points left, which means that I don't die to the next 2 shocks, but I will die to the next lava burst plus a shock. This also means that you might be able to gear a little bit more offensively, or you might be able to gear a little bit more defensively and to improve your situation. So, for example, if we went up just a little bit more HP, we would be able to survive the next burst basically no problem. If we're doing any kind of holy light healing in here, we're going to survive a little bit longer to be able to do another rotation, no problem. If we're able to hodge stun the target and get a heal in on ourselves or something like that, we're going to survive it with no problem. If we have a damn it, what is it? If we have Rebuke, we're probably looking pretty good from an HP perspective. If we have, what is it? Recombobulator Ray is going to heal us for about 200, right? Giving us like 550, making us even closer to like that 700 HP breakpoint. So the point here is that we have options. We can either go down closer to the 1000 HP mark, or we can start going up closer to like the 1400-ish HP mark, like 1350, 1400, somewhere around there. And then we're very clearly going to be able to survive multiple rotations. Multiple 6-second rotations from the Elemental Shaman, which is going to cause us to be able to do more and more rotations. But again, really, really want to use the bubble offensively here. So fighting spellcasters a lot of the time is a bit of a gear check. Okay. So, for example, how I fight Elemental Shamans, because I have a much thicker mana bar and I have a much thicker HP bar, is I actually do a lot of healing. So I enter into a 6-second rotation with the Elemental Shaman, basically. And the way it works is I'm basically trying to holy light myself constantly, and I'm eating an Earthshock cancel once every 6 seconds, if you're following me on this. So the Shaman every 6 seconds is like, he's putting 2 shocks into me in a lava burst. And every 6 seconds, I'm basically doing 2 holy lights. Except one of them is being canceled by Earthshock, so I'm only getting 1 holy light out. But the Shaman's reward for successfully canceling my holy light is that he eats an auto attack, and then of course every time Crusader Strike and Divine Storm are on cooldown, he's or off of cooldown, he's eating those as well. So not only is he eating every 6 seconds he's eating an auto attack and a Crusader Strike, or he's eating an auto attack and a Divine Storm, or he's eating an auto attack, a Crusader Strike, and a Divine Storm, right? And then my Holy Light healing almost entirely negates out their lava burst damage. So basically every 6 seconds I'm taking like 350 damage, because lava burst does 400. The shocks do about 300, give or take. There's not enough time there for him to really do anything else. It's all opportunity costed against everything else. So I'm losing maybe 350 HP every 6 seconds while we're basically doing this little dance. And the shaman is losing something equivalent. And it's at that point I'm leveraging the depth of my HP bar far more here, because at some point the elemental shaman's going to have to stop and heal himself, because I'm going to win this slight mana war of this slight war of attrition that we've engaged in. I also have bubble that I can leverage offensively at any point in time, and basically go up an extra, like, 5,500 550 HP, like no problem. At some point, there's going to be a role reversal where the shaman has to try to heal himself, and I'm shaman healing at level 25 sucks. Like, it's actually objectively terrible. If you look at their talent tree, they have to put like 13 points in resto before they get any kind of healing pushback immunity. And if they don't even put 5 points in resto, they get their big boy heals take 3 seconds to cast with no pushback immunity, which is like insane. So a shaman trying to heal is just absolutely terrible. He can try to Ghost Wolf and run away, but it's not like Avenger Shield isn't in this equation. It's not like Hodge hasn't been used yet. It's not like there's not a grenade available, even though it's a standstill grenade. They're not going to get away in time before you grenade them, catch right back up to them, and rotate on them again. It's just a really bad situation. So basically, you just heal through it. I know it sounds stupid, but I have healing in combat, and Lord knows I'm going to effing use it. In my build, at least. If you're a deep ret paladin, then you gear slightly differently and you play slightly differently, right? So I play in a more holy style, and the ret would want to play differently. But it's basically a gear check, right? And the other classes are basically the same based upon how you're dealing with them. A lot of the matchups versus the casters, you would super benefit as a paladin. It sounds weird, but you super benefit as a paladin if you just have a much, much, much thicker mana bar, believe it or not, and you just do a lot of healing. So, for example, I beat the crap out of Shadow Priests with my current build just because I'm insanely mana efficient. What's worse is that my really deep HP bar is allowing spirit regeneration ticks to really take the wheel a lot more than normal in that fight. So again, I just and kill priests, which is kind of weird. It's a very close and very tight fight, but I am 100% and killing priests. I have PvP trinket to shrug off one of their fears. I have bubble cancel to shrug off another one of their fears. And because I have like a bunch of all 16 points in holy, I have a 15% chance to just resist fears when they're being cast. So if I'm just doing a mana war with a priest, doing a mana war with a priest, doing a mana war with a priest, and all of a sudden I resist a fear naturally, I know that I have PvP trinket and bubble to be able to sit on them for a minute 30 seconds, or basically until the end of time. Like, they're just going to die. And once the priest gets low mana, if a priest is low mana and a paladin is low mana, paladin wins. That has not changed for a million years, and Lord knows it's not going to change anytime recently. Savix was complaining about paladins versus rogues at level 25. If you look at Savix is basically failing a gear check. Straight up, no joke, he's failing a gear check versus the rogues. If you try to fight a rogue in a pure DPS suit, you are an insane moron. There's no actual way around it. In the entire history of Paladin versus Rogue, this is the only Paladin spec that ever fights rogues in a pure DPS suit is Reckoning Paladins. They're the only ones that can get away with that, and that's just because they hodgestone the rogues and they delete them out of existence and GG's. Every other paladin that's fighting a rogue needs to be super defensive for a long period of time in the early stages of the fight. The last thing you want to do is to be in a DPS suit with a rogue that has all of their cooldowns available and you don't have Reckoning. This is a terrible idea. So you want to fight them in more of a tanky suit as a paladin until they start having cooldown issues. You want to channel your inner Saxy boy and go for drink runs off into Narnia, where you regenerate your mana to full and regenerate your HP to full before the rogue can open up on you again. You want them using all mana. You want their cooldowns to be suffering before you even consider getting into a DPS suit around a rogue. And rogues can reset fairly easy in Season of Discovery. This is true. However, what they can't do is reset and prevent you, the paladin, from gear swapping. So the play versus a rogue at high levels is to basically go sword and board against them, basically tank them out, wait till their evasion is on cooldown, wait till their sprints are on cooldown. They want to reset, that's perfectly fine. You just reset on them, you get into your DPS suit, and then you decide to take on Senor Rogue when they no longer have evasion and when they no longer have sprint. And that's a much more manageable matchup when you're in a heavy DPS suit than just trying to open. You're basically just failing a gear check in that matchup. Some of the other matchups are very similar, like that priest one I just mentioned is kind of the same thing. You want to go up against a priest with a very, very thick boy mana bar or mana suit to begin with. So we're talking like almost pure stamina intellect suit if possible. Basically, you just trade mana with the priest, mana with the priest, mana with the priest, mana with the priest. And then when the priest gets low mana and wants to go for a reset, congratulations. Him resetting means that you can also get a reset, and that's when you get your ass into your DPS suit. And that's when you start giving the priest the business. You don't want to give the priest the business when he's like, full life, full mana. That's a terrible idea. Let him be 20% life, and you're in a full DPS suit at like my bad, 20% mana when you're in a full DPS suit and you're at 20% mana. This is a much more serviceable scenario than I'm going to full retard into them with a bunch of DPS and then wonder why I can't kill them through their bubble shield and their it's the hot that they have, the healing touch or whatever it is, and penance, like wondering why I can't do this. Maybe it's because he has an ocean of mana to play with. Maybe that's the problem. I'm just maybe I don't know. Maybe kind of the same thing with druids. Believe it or not, you just gear differently. It's a bit of a gear check. There's a lot of matchups that if you just run at them in a pure DPS suit, you are going to get bitch slapped 6 ways from Sunday. Bad idea. Definitely gear yourself significantly more tankier. I'm not joking. So if I had to guess like what an HP breakpoint in Season of Discovery would be, I would say 1500 HP minimum. It might be 1600 HP. Lord knows I'm doing quite nice with my 1600 HP, even though I do plan on going up even more in HP. Definitely there are some mana breakpoints though, and definitely I'm doing my own little special boy stuff, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so that's the TLDR on Season of Discovery. Use your damn bubble offensively. Stop failing the damn gear checks and wondering why you don't have enough DPS to carry the day. Even if you do use your bubble discovery, you're probably only going to get 2 full rotations on the enemy before you explode. So what is that going to look like? That's going to be, well, you get 2 Avenger shields. No, you don't even get 2. You get 1 Avenger shield, between 3 to 5 auto attacks. My money is actually on about 5 yeah, maybe 5 auto attacks. 2 judgments. Maybe 3 Crusader strikes and then 2 divine storms. That's you catching somebody, doing a full rotation on somebody, then bubbling, then waiting out the bubble, then canceling the bubble, then stunning them, and then rotating on them again. Or canceling the bubble, rotating on them, then stunning them, and getting like an extra auto attack or so in. So you're only looking at like 5 auto attacks, 2 Crusader strikes. You can actually math it out here. The reason why you can math it out is because you're not healing yourself and your HP bar is non-existent. It is very, very painfully obvious how many seconds of actual beat stick time you're going to have on your enemies. If your enemies can heal, then the offensive bubble doesn't quite work as well. Strategy now does it. Because if you're bubbled and you're just waiting for your cooldowns, they're just going to stop and heal themselves. But let's see here real fast. All right, so you got 2 Crusader Strikes. That's going to be 75. I wanted to say 3. We'll do this in percentages. Times, so that's Crusader Strikes. You're going to get 5 auto attacks, so I'll add 500% weapon damage. You're going to get 2 Divine Storms. So that means I need to add, like, 220%. What else did we have? We had a couple of Judgments in there. Judgments are going to do, like, maybe 50 damage at most. So we have to add, like, an extra 100 damage to this. SOR is in play. SOR will do another 20 times 5 damage, give or take. 20 times 5 is 100. So you're getting about 150 damage from non-physical damage sources. Seal of Command is in here. Theoretical. Well, I'm thinking SOR. Okay, my bad. I guess you're a Seal of Command Paladin. Okay, so 5 auto attacks. So that was almost 950. 5 auto attacks. Come here. Give them to me. Give them to me. 5 auto attacks at, I think our proc chance is I want to say 0.4 at 3.2 weapon speed. Maybe, but then it's also Seal of Casinoed. God. So maybe 0.38. Let's be honest. It's probably 0.35. Yeah, I'm trying to anticipate what the proc chance of Seal of Command is. And we're using a 3.2 speed weapon, which means proc chance is going to be reduced. It's 4.8. No, like 4.6 or 4.4 at 3.8. And then I'm trying to factor in Seal of Casino as well, right? Okay, so equals, cool. Maybe we could say we get like 2 Seal of Command procs in there. Seal of Command procs do about 100% weapon damage in the grand scheme of things. So you're doing 950 plus 200, and then divide that by 100. And this will give you actual percentages. Okay, cool. So you're doing like whatever your normal auto attack damage is, times 11.5. You throw in some critical stuff in here. Maybe you're operating with like 15% critical strike chance times 1.15. Cool. We'll just say 13. We'll round down right here. We'll say 13. And then with the extra judgment damage, we'll round up and we'll say 14. So whatever your auto attack damage is, you're going to be doing that probably about times 14. Your auto attack damage in Season of Discovery is probably about 120. So just multiply that by 120. Cool. So you can do like 1,700-ish damage to the target before you get killed. This isn't bad, right? This is not the worst thing in the world. But you'll notice that if the enemy gears correctly, if they find their major recombobulator ray, they're going to survive that pretty much no problem. You compare that to the more tanky boy paladins, which they have less damage, but they're able to put like an additional like just more attacks into the target. So they'll do, rather than 5 auto attacks, it'll be like 8 attacks. Rather than 3 Crusader strikes, it'll be like 5 Crusader strikes. Rather than 2 Divine Storms, it'll be like 3 Divine Storms, if that makes any sense. Rather than 2 Judgments, it'll be 3 Judgments, and so forth and so on. So basically, even though they do less damage, they do something like 20 to 25% less damage than you do. Their total DPS output over time will actually be superior. Yeah, and in some matchups that matters, and other matchups that does not matter. And it's important to realize which matchups those do matter and which matchups those do not matter. All right, well, I'm in the studio here, and Deus Vult boys, hopefully it was interesting. Visuals are probably kind of dry. Hopefully you get the idea, but 110,000% start using your bubble in Season of Discovery offensively. Like, don't mess around with it. Use it offensively. Use it offensively. Use it offensively. Use it offensively. If you are failing to kill your targets consistently, then you have to ask yourself one of 2 questions. Would increasing my durability help me here, or would increasing my DPS help here? If you're already max DPS and it's not getting the job done, well, there's only one place to go. If you're max durability and it's not getting the job done, then there's only one place to go. This is also why it doesn't hurt to start at either end of the spectrum, basically. You know what I mean? It's like if you start at pure DPS, then you can always, increase your durability until you find a sweet spot. If you start at the sheer durability end of things, you can always increase your DPS until you find that magical sweet spot. If you're like me, then the magical sweet spot becomes very easily mathematically identifiable just by looking at my damn combat log. If my combat log is basically saying that I died and it was overkilled by like 50 damage, I'm going to be like, well, let's go up another 100 HP and see if that improves things, because that might get me another auto attack in there. That might get me another Divine Storm. That might just be the way to go. You can also look at what time in the combat did you get killed. Was I 4 seconds away from Crusader Strike and Divine Storm coming off a cooldown and really doing some damage? Well, I might want to go up another 300 HP to get that extra damage in there. Just gear your Paladins right. Gearing capabilities are so limited in Season of Discovery that if it's not rocket science to figure out, if that makes any sense. My life has... when I was dueling at like 1200 HP, life sucked. Now that I have over 1600 HP, it's a ocean of difference just having more HP. Holy crap, do I feel different. I get to rotate on people more, I get to damage people more. It's absolutely beautiful. I can do annoying things like once my bubble is down, I don't actually have to Hodge them. I can just do a full rotation on them and literally just save Hodge for if anybody is healing. I can hold my auto attacks and use Seal of Justice more consistently because I'm not under a insane amount of pressure to do as much damage as possible. So, for example, I'll be like beating on a priest, and at some point I just stop my auto attack and I just SOJ and I just wait for the penance. Because as soon as I see the penance, I can Crusader Strike them, and there's like a 60% chance that I interrupt it with SOJ. Or I can just hold the Hodge stun and just, Hodge stun them, beat the crap out of them that way. They're not going to be penancing again for another, 10 seconds or another 8 seconds, even when they come out of the Hodge. And you just give them the DPS. But you have the durability to do all this stuff, right? If I didn't have the durability, then none of this stuff works. Right? There is no let me Hodge stun the priest who just started penancing himself and then beat on his ass for another 8 seconds before he gets another penance. And, oh, by the way, let me hold my auto attack for an SOJ so I can interrupt the next penance so that I can rotate on his ass for another 8 seconds. You get where I'm going with this, right? There is none of that because I'm fucking dead. Yeah. So, anyways, you guys aren't gearing right. That's the problem. Day is full, boys.